Welcome to Rethink Live Summer Edition. We're excited to have all of you here today. First of all, I'd like to kick us off by welcoming our president, Vince Lisi. He is the president of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services and the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate, one of the top companies in the network. He brings energy and vision to the network and is absolutely 110% behind all of the goals and objectives for the National Rethink Council. So for a man who needs no additional introduction whatsoever, thanks for joining us today, Vince.
Thank you, Sandy. Welcome all rethinkers. Glad to have you here. Good to see all of you guys and all of you out there attending. Rethink is something that has always been very close and dear to my heart. And actually, when I joined the network, it was actually one of the conditions is that we had to have a next generation, right? At that time, it was millennial, as when we went from Prudential to Berkshire Hathaway a number of years ago, and now it's millennial and Gen Z. But we have to have, I believe, the next generation to communicate with, to understand what are the wants and needs of younger agents, what are the wants and needs and thought processes of buyers and sellers and people in the community, and for us to best be connected to them. I think it's great to have this idea sharing, this collaboration, bringing together of younger agents that are productive in our network to help us from a network's perspective, saying here's tools that we have, to how are they communicating and what are they effectively doing to reach buyers and sellers in the marketplace to help us all be more productive. So it's something that I want us to continue to do. I'm passionate about. I think it's a very important part, and using them as a sounding board has been very cool and beneficial for the network as we move forward. So I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate you taking your time and volunteering to do this. And continue to build great relationships with all of you guys. When you listen to these ideas here, I always tell you, take one or two ideas out of what you hear today from these guys, because there's going to be some great things, and then go implement those. Don't go try to implement 5 or 10 things when you're done with this conversation today. But rethinkers, love you guys, appreciate you guys. Thank you very, very much. And with that, Austin, let's kick this thing off and start getting some ideas to everybody out there.
Awesome. Welcome. So summer's out, heating up. We're talking today strategies to keep your coffers full, your pipelines built out. Today is June 4th. So if you look at the calendar year, you should be about 48.7% to your goal that you've set for yourself for the year. So these individuals are some of the top producing, I call them youth because I feel old, of our company with some of the greatest ideas that they have. So without further ado, kick it off, guys. What are you doing to keep your coffers full, build your pipeline, and solidify relationships and leads?
Well, I guess I'll start that off.
Go for it.
Yeah, so summer, like you said, it's awesome. We're in North Idaho here, so I'm with Jacqueline Real Estate, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Jacqueline Real Estate, North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, basically area. And it gets to be winter here. It gets a little cold, but this time of year, people are busting the boats out. Dirt bikes are coming out, getting the dust knocked off of those, and people are just getting outside and doing stuff. So awesome time to be outside as well, meeting people and getting involved in the things that you like doing. So I'm a dirt bike guy. I don't know if anybody out there really knows my background, but I raced dirt bikes professionally for 15 years, traveled the world, did a lot of things like that. And so my community is dirt bike and bicycle oriented. And so what I like to do is obviously this time of year we're getting out and doing it and riding bikes. And so I'm making myself available to ride dirt bikes and be with people in my community and talk to them as much as I can and put myself out there to hang out with them. And that's a huge thing for me this time of year, is to reconnect with those people and remind them that this is not just what I do as dirt bikes, but also real estate. And those come up naturally in conversation because we have a common ground. Our common ground is a sport. It starts as a conversation about that sport, maybe, and then it turns into life. Like maybe they have kids the same age as mine, or maybe their kids go to the same school as mine, or we're just talking about where they're currently living, or their future goals, their life goals, whatever. And it changes and it transforms and it melds. And it's the most impactful way that I find that I even do real estate on a general basis. Obviously, this is a relationship business, and that's the way I kind of run it and keep it going. And I think a lot of people nowadays appreciate that, especially when you're naturally intrigued in their life, right? And I think a lot of people don't come to talk to others with just a genuine interest in other people's situations and lives, and not from a salesy standpoint, but just from a, hey, like, you're a human, I'm a human, and we can offer each other both good value. And just asking questions is a good way to do that. When we're so inundated with phones and texts, having face-to-face conversations with people, and just picking up the phone and hearing people's voices is a big plus. So the much as we can do that.
I have a question, and I wonder if other people might have the same question. You know, you're talking about you're getting with your sphere and the people with the kids, and everybody's got a lot in common. How do you transition out of, okay, yeah, we're the same, or we have the same walks of life? Like, I think a lot of people have this struggle that are like, hey, I have kids, you know, you have kids, we know each other, we do the soccer field. How do you transition being a friend and a, hey, we're at soccer and we're having the same conversations, into like being a real estate? Like, how do you transition those conversations? Do you have any advice?
Yeah, just that, again, it's coming from a natural place of, genuine, you're intrigued in other people's situations and in life. So I ask way more questions than I talk. I'm talking a lot right now, but I'll tell you, when I meet with people, I'm asking questions to get them to talk about what they got going on, because then I can find out, and I'm not coming at this as a salesy spot. I'm naturally intrigued in other people and what they got going on. And that's, if you can come from that point of view, you will always get more out of the conversation by coming out that way than not. And just doing that is a great way to make that happen.
So what you're doing is you're taking those conversations you're having and using them as triggers to follow up with something that you might have item of value.
Totally. Yeah. And that could be a text message. That could be, hey, I have something really actually going on next week. I was thinking about selling, but I can't find what I'm looking for. Now I have data, right? And then that data gets inputted for me in my brain, but then I go home, I put it like in a Google Doc. I have warm leads. I have cold, warm, hot, essentially. And I'm constantly circulating those people to stay on top of it and keep those people kind of in the fresher version of that. So,
what I'm hearing,
I was gonna say, Asia keeps unmuting and going.
I just wanted to add something really quickly to what Colton's saying, because I think it's incredible and totally correct. Those interpersonal relationships and the connections you make, that's where your business comes from. Fortune obviously favors the follow-up. And for people who have read Ninja Selling, they have this concept of, like, I think it's called 8 and 8. I may be off on that. It's been a while since I wrote it, but it's about these touch points after a conversation like that with someone and how you continuously follow up to stay top of mind. So, you have this conversation with someone, maybe they mention, my kid is graduating, or, we're thinking about downsizing, or just something, that kind of indicates they may be a future buyer or seller down the line. What I like to do is take notes from that conversation and put it into a file for that client. And I've been using AI for this successfully, where each person in my lead pipeline has a file in my AI system where I can keep record of conversation we have and circle back to that and think, okay, this is their kids graduating at this time, and it keeps record of that date. And so it's tough to follow up across many, many conversations. And so when you're able to streamline it and use AI as a tool to save time, you can circle back and say, hey, I just want to write a quick email or a text message to that person following up, or sharing a recent sale in their neighborhood. And then, it's still that interpersonal relationship, and you're using the information you gleaned, but you're using AI as a tool to help you be more efficient and take away that barrier to following up, which is, our time.
Asia, do you use Claude or use ChatGPT, or what someone asked exactly, what do you use?
Yeah, I'm using ChatGPT. I hear Claude is all the rage, and I've been using ChatGPT for so long. It knows so much about me, and I have all my files on clients within that system. So I can't imagine transferring it over, but I've heard that Claude is excellent as well.
Nice.
Holly had a statement.
Yeah.
Got my hand raised. So, couple things I'm hearing. So, like, Colton, I think, and then touching on Ninja Selling, like Asia said, is I think about that framework of forward conversation. So, starting with talking about, asking about their family, getting into occupation, maybe recreation or something, fun that they're looking forward to, and then dreams. And, as you get into that conversation, at some point, it's probably eventually going to lead to something real estate related, and not like in an unnatural, targeted way. But I think it comes down to it's actively listening. And if we're actively listening, that's a two-way conversation. And so even within that, if we're actively listening and we are taking an interest in the other person, because it's a two-way conversation, that could lead to me providing some sort of knowledgeable input or a story about something just relating to what the other person is saying. It's a natural flow of conversation. How this plays into summer for me is I have two young children, both school age. And so we have a change in schedule right now. Their activities during the day have changed from during the school year. And so I find that I'm in flow with people in a different way. Some people that I'm regularly in flow with, but maybe just in passing. So this is a great time to be setting up those play dates or those lunch dates or coffee dates with a friend that I haven't been able to get in touch with, maybe since winter break. Or, we're spending a lot more time at gymnastics classes this summer with my kids because it's summer break and we have more time in gymnastics right now. So just instead of sitting there on my computer or on my phone the whole time with work related, it could be that some of my, just social time can also, benefit us professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Like if you're being out there, you want to be engaged in where you want to be engaged in where you are at that moment, like present in the moment, and people can really appreciate that. And that's a big deal. So.
And Colton, I love you're talking about go do something that get outdoors, do something you're passionate about. You're going to be with like-minded people, right? So you're already going to have something in common with them. But in case even if you go to the conversation, if you're the soccer mom or the baseball or any of these sporting events where you're sitting with parents all the time, when people find out that you're in real estate, I think one of the things that naturally happens is people do actually like to talk about real estate. I mean, it's not like we're selling life insurance or something like that. We're talking about a subject matter that opens the door, right? And then Holly, then from that conversation, listening from people, you're going to start hearing things where maybe you can say, you know what, I can send you this thing dot loop, or I can send you this valuation tool or something like that, which just naturally, it'll naturally evolve over time. But put yourself in those spaces to let them know you're in real estate. But the other thing that I'd always encourage you guys to do is make sure you're taking time. Just don't assume that people are going to refer business to you or they're going to call. I mean, if just tell them that if there's ever anybody that you know that has any real estate needs, please give them my name and number. But more importantly, reach out to me. Shoot me a text, an email, a call, whatever's easiest for you so I can reach out to them, because we know only 1 out of 10 people will reach out to me if they don't know who I am. Set that expectation. Most of those people, when you care about them, you're genuine, and you're doing things jointly together, and you're building that relationship, they like you, they'll give you that referral and they'll reach out to you. But you've got to set those expectations. You can't just assume these things are going to happen because they know you're in real estate. Also
to that, not only do I have on my lead flow, a cold to a warm to a hot, but I also am a bit of a constructive criticism to myself. And so I even have a list on there of the things I missed, like I actually have the dresses that I missed on there, the people that I didn't sell to, the money that I would have made for motivation. Like I kind of abused myself a little bit over my racing career. Like I would do like the hardest things I possibly could and make myself, suffer so that when it came to a championship race, I'd be ready, like mentally I get myself there. And so I even do it in real estate now. Like I even have that little bit of a, hey, you missed this one. Why'd you miss it? Okay. Yeah. You should figure out how to be better in that area. Right.
Now, Alexandria, I know when we had our prep call, you were talking about getting belly to belly and you were looking at like life changes. So Colton's, maximizing on a passion. You were looking at your sphere and you were looking at life changes and large events that were happening. Will you speak to like what you've been doing and prepping this spring into the summer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've just noticed that I've picked up with like invitations on life events, whether kids are graduating, there's, summer events or cookouts and things like that. And I've just been kind of soaking all of that up and actually going to those events. A lot of times if I get too busy, I'll say like, oh, I don't have time for that. But I've been being very intentional on RSVPing and showing up to those summer events. and having those conversations, having those, like-minded conversations, and getting to know people's families, whether it be a graduation event, getting to know everyone's family and who is in the room, and just literally working the room. And a lot of times, asking those forward questions brings people to say, oh, what do you do? And or someone will always say, oh, she's in real estate, or she was my realtor. And the conversation always comes up, and just making those conversations and being intentional, um, and after going to those events, that follow up is, okay, I connected with that person, or I'm now connected with them on social media. I've been trying to be present and focused on them, and like looking at their social media page and saying like, hey, it was great to see you at the event. You mentioned that your grandma was downsizing, or a family member was downsizing. Hey, let me know if I can ever assist, or if you have anybody that could that you can refer me to. So just asking for that business, and then being intentional. And then the follow up to that is having those touch points, is after those kids have gone to school, or after they've taken them to school and dropped them off, checking on them and saying, hey, I hope you're doing well. Just a quick phone call or handwritten note, just recognizing that, it was a struggle for them to take their student to school, or, that event that you had this summer was great. I got to know so many people. So just having those following up handwritten notes have been something that I've been very intentional about this summer.
But I think you also said you were purposeful, like you were bringing like juice, or you were asking what you could bring.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So in those invitations, if they're saying like, hey, I'd love for you to come to, my summer cookout, or I'd love for you to come to the graduation party, hey, what can I bring? Can it be, what's the person's favorite dessert? Or can I bring the water? Do you need ice? So being able to provide something as well. And if they say nothing, still showing up, like here's a pretty bouquet of flowers to set on the table. Just being intentional on showing up and being present in the room.
Love that. Grace, she was talking about invitations. What are you doing this summer that's setting everyone apart? Or what are you doing for the first time?
I'm doing a little summer bash. I think events and in person is probably the most obviously authentic way we can connect with our people. I do a Galentine's one for my lady clients, and I do a movie one in the winter that's more on that like holiday essence, and we do pies and Thanksgiving. And I was kind of missing that mid-year touch point where I got to see people face to face. So a lot of my audience, and I keep hearing one word, and it's intentional. And I think that that's 100%. If you want to really grow your business this summer, finding intentional places to meet your people where they're at. And my audience is a lot of families. And so I'm doing a little kind of like family friendly barbecue bash where we have barbecue. We're doing mini family portrait sessions, or single, bring your pet, whatnot. You get, 5 edited photos back on me. We're gonna have Kona ice. We're gonna have balloon animals, face painting, like everything like that you can imagine, just to come and like unwind. It's a come and go as you please event. And on the invitation, and in the QR code that they RSVP through, it's very much so recommended, like bring your neighbor, bring your family friends. If grandma and grandpa are in town, bring them along. Like this is truly an event for the masses. So it's the first time. So of course, trial and error as we go. I'm just praying that Mother Nature works with me since we're outside, but we're
Grace,
not even going to think about that. But again,
that,
it's a matter of bringing the people together in a way that, everyone can connect one way or another, whether they're coming for the food, the photos, the fun. I mean, I think everyone will have a fun time is kind of the goal. So
Love that.
it could
yeah.
feel like your wedding day in that respect. And you go to each party, like the respectful thing to do when you're getting married is to go to each party and like make sure you talk to each one of them as you do
Yep.
it, right? And so,
Yeah. And that's, I think, one of those things too, where like, as far as events go, I think it can be very overwhelming. And we put a lot of time, money, resources, energy into these events that we plan. So I think that follow-up is so crucial, and making sure you're present at your own event. So have someone help out that can run the food, that can run the photos, whatever it is, because it is our job and our purpose to be there to catch up with all those different people face to face that maybe we text and call and comment on social media with, but being there face to face, having that conversation, that's what they get most excited about. They're excited to see you. We're excited to see them.
I think that's important. And then make sure you have some form of a follow-up, because I think, whether it's a handwritten card, a DM on social media, whatever it is, make sure you're reconnecting after the fact. Even if they couldn't make it, hey, we really missed you. Hope you can make it next year, or this is our next event coming up. Put it on their radar. So I think
Grace,
that's, oh,
I
yep.
got a question. So we're talking
Yes.
about events, we're talking
Yes.
about follow-up, but what are you doing in the beginning of it to get them there? Like, what system are you using would they scan your QR code?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
walk us through what that looks like. Because everyone says, oh, I'm
Yep.
doing events. It's like, okay, I got Kona Ice coming, but where do we start?
Right. It's a great question. Again, trial and error, lots of error, but I feel like we've kind of finally gotten into that essence of, as far as planning any event goes, when you're doing like your organization of your invitations, that's one I would really nail. Sometimes we used to use like Google Forms and whatnot, which isn't bad, but we've found that I think is a really easy system to use. Fillout.com. And I use this now for my buyer questionnaires, for my seller questionnaires, my newsletters I send out for like giveaways. They have so many templates that you can customize. So like for our Summer Bash invite, it's a multi-layered situation because people have to reserve a photo time. They have to tell us how many people are coming. This system online lets you pretty much customize any invite to be what you want it to be. Like, pick your time, who's coming, what are the names. It's great. So highly recommend, if you're planning an event, let your RSVPs go through there, do a QR code on your invitation, or text the link out.
Do you do paper, or do you do digital, or do you do both?
Oh, I do both.
So
I
you do
think
like
people,
a fancy wedding invitation.
yes, I think
Okay.
people like getting fun mail. Nowadays you just get the bills and the not so fun things that you don't want to open. So this year we sent out bright yellow invitations, or in the envelopes with the cards. So it just is something that's really fun to go with. Like, just, again, they see it in the mail. Everyone knows I normally send all my stuff out in black envelopes, so we decided to add a little pop of color for one purpose of summer. But it just is, again, it's fun mail. And I do think then the follow-up with the text of, hey, here's the link, would love to see you. That's always obviously probably better hit, because it's easier for people just to click on. But getting it out in advance, don't wait 2 weeks beforehand, because then you're going to kick yourself for the time and energy you've invested. But give it a good 4 weeks of RSVPing. And again, budgeting in advance is super important. Don't get ahead of yourself and start reserving this, and this. But again, you don't have to start so major. Something so small just to bring people together for a good time. That's all people really want nowadays, is that little bit of escape on a weekend or whatnot to go enjoy. So.
Well, and I think you put a good point on that, because there's going to be a lot of people who aren't quite, at the level they want to be for some of these large events. And I think people think that you can only do it as a solo agent. If you have a group of agents that y'all work together and have, similar spheres and interests, y'all could team up together, even if you're not on the same team, to help give a bigger event.
Agreed.
And I think
Absolutely.
they can be so overwhelming with price, and you're like, I don't have that type of money to invest. Do them together.
I agree
Right?
100%. So
Yeah.
there's a book called The Power of a Moment, and it talks about when you cast a moment in someone's life that's a positive or a negative, they'll never forget you. So I know a lot of you are talking about children. You'll never forget how someone makes your children feel, either for the positive or the negative. So, like, I was talking with Bernal, because I know, Bernal, you don't have any kids. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, are you going to car shows? Like, Bernal, tell us what you're dialing in this summer.
Yeah, so definitely trying to go to the Cars and Coffees events and those kinds of things. But I am also doing a client appreciation event at a baseball stadium. Looking forward to use the fillout.com, as Grace was talking about. That's the first time I'll be using it. So I'm excited to see how that all plays out. But another big thing for me too over the summer is my mindset, because I love when the weather's warm and to like relax by the pool and just kind of be chill. But you got to be out there. Summer is relationship season. So, and we've all been kind of saying the same thing at this point, but being intentional and showing up at the events and, bringing something with you, because it's all about the relationships. So you got to get out there.
Absolutely. TJ, I'm gonna bounce over to you. You and Kaylee have been quiet. I mean, this conversation, what are you guys doing? I mean, if you don't follow TJ, TJ's got great social media content, great videos. He does a great job. Just had a new little baby. So what are you guys doing to tackle and keep your pipeline full?
Thank you. Yeah. So, like everyone's been saying, fortune really is in the follow-up. So I just started reminder media magazines to my top 60. And, when I was a newer agent, I thought, I had to send that out to 100 or 200 people. And just quality over quantity with that kind of stuff. I think being face to face with your people is so important and definitely something I need to work on. I did do my first client appreciation last October. Probably had like 25 to 30 people there max, but it was just funny. One of my cousins brought somebody, and it was like a three flat lead that I just had no idea was in front of me. So that was really great. Um, so you just got to be ready for that at any moment. You're always one phone call away from your next big deal. So you have to just keep that mindset. But for me, from a prospecting standpoint, consistency is so key. So like some of my most productive days, I'm just getting right into my pipeline, which is my hot leads or my hot clients who are going to be transacting within the next 12 months. So I have them in my active pipeline, and then anyone outside of that 12 months period will be in my prospecting pipeline section. And then I'll also keep people in there who I think might be ready to go within 12 months, but I'm just not 100% sure. And I don't want to move them into my active pipeline before I totally know. But I'm looking at this list thinking, who can I close in the next 30 days? Who can I close in the next 60 days? And really just prioritizing those pipeline or those people. For me, I really just have gravitated towards the Google Doc, Google spreadsheet, because I like that because I can have that on my computer and then I can also have it on my phone. So if I'm needing to update notes, the notes section in there, it's just really easy to do on my phone. But I'm just constantly looking at those estimated closing dates when I think people are going to be making their next move. And then, like Asia said, I love having like a little notes section where I'll put something in there and then I'll come back to it in 3 months, and clients are just kind of impressed that you remember the little things like that. And then also like what Colton said, I do have a lost client section just to keep that fire going a little bit. But yeah, just if you're a new agent, just find those top th 2 or 3 things that you're really good at that are going to move the needle for your goals, and just stick to those. You don't try to overfunction, just find what you're good at and stay consistent.
I think that's great advice. I mean, what all of you are saying, it's sphere, it's sphere, it's sphere. It's the power of relationships and who you're getting belly to belly with. And I know Kayla, you doing a lot of new training classes and things like that for getting new buyers. So what are you doing that is different from everyone else?
Yeah, I would say definitely kind of going in a different direction and not just attending events, things like that. I do a lot of social media work and going kind of hand in hand with your sphere, being the knowledge broker for your area, not only for market updates, things like that, but also activities. So, what I like to do is definitely look into new and upcoming events downtown, or educating people on maybe hidden parks that they've never been to around the area. When the weather, gets nice, everybody, like Colton said, comes outside, they go on the lake, they go on the river. Maybe there's somewhere that you like to frequent that others don't know about. So making guides like a, summer guide or best date night, just, places to go, things like that, is definitely something that I try to lean into more so in the summer, just because there's so many things to go and do. You can also do that with restaurants, parks, I guess, hikes, just all sorts of day trips. We're really close to the beach here. I'm in Southwest Washington in the Portland metro area. So people take a lot of day trips out to the beach. So just different things that people aren't maybe aware of, and being the person they could come to for suggestions.
You're
Not
doing
only
a lot of educating about your area, like
yeah.
education.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will say when the sun comes out, that's when I like to gather most of my content. A lot of people don't like to see rainy days, and we have a lot of those here. So definitely when I go out on hikes or I'm outside or going to these events, I'm trying to snap little, clips for B-roll, photos for the backgrounds of, carousel posts, things like that. So definitely using the next couple months to really stock up on all of that is definitely important for me in my
So you're
market.
not being an invisible agent. You're
No,
actually being
not
present,
at all.
showing up. Not, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Asia, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I was thinking about this as Kaylee was speaking because Kaylee does such an incredible job on social media, and I love following you and seeing, all the local content that you post. And so, thinking about filling pipelines, as TJ said, and wanting to add names to this list, and as Grace said, the importance of in-person meetings and creating those client events for newer agents who maybe don't have, you know, a ton of past clients or for people who are worried about cost and overhead for in-person events, social media is such an important place to be social and socially interacting with your sphere and your past clients. And it's easy to do in terms of time, and it's free, it's low cost. So back to AI again, I think I'm starting to notice kind of an over reliance of agents. AI is an awesome time-saving tool, but social media is a place to be social and to be yourself and to have personal relationships. So while it's great for crafting captions and giving you content ideas at the same time, it's sometimes pretty apparent when a caption is AI generated or a script isn't in somebody's true voice. So I think it can be great as like a thought idea partner or to as a starting place for captions, but I think it's really important to have your personal touch on things that you're doing online and what you're presenting because that's going to be how people really resonate and connect with you. And same thing, what you're putting out about, your own posts and your own content, you should also be engaging with your sphere's content. So, noticing life events and birthdays, that's a great reason to hop on a call with somebody or, to add somebody to, a farther out pipeline because you see something that's going on in their life. And it's a great way to connect and stay top of mind.
Engaging with other people will push your content farther as well.
I agree. And I think there's a fear of FOMO on social media. People don't want to miss out. So you got to be diligent in what you're doing. I love how you all are raising your hand and being polite. You all are don't just jump in. This is a conversation. Like we are bouncing ideas and we are giving, the network some gold nuggets to take away to help build their next few months. So just chime in, guys.
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback off of what AJ said in regards to the social media. Like when you're like looking at the algorithms of things, like when you see those life events happen or the things, comment on those photos or those posts, because that brings the algorithm back together for you to connect with that person and kind of see their post as well. So it's good to like take that information and do a handwritten note or do a personal call, but also go ahead and like that comment or like the comment or like that photo and put a comment in there as well. So people can actually see that you're commenting, you're interacting. Don't just be a scroll person that just scrolls.
So talking social media, how many of you just primarily have, either Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, but
Well, you don't have any, do you, Austin?
I do actually. But what I'm saying is, how many of you do not just focus on your business page? Like your business page is kind of just there, it stands, it gets posted to. How many of you physically just use your personal platform to basically blend your whole life together and put it out there? Because I think that's important. It's transparency.
I think that's huge. And like, I think we were talking before the call with Sandy, just talking about this is a lifestyle. And I think we have to, I treat it as such. So if you know me, you know my kids, my husband, just putting that all together. And that's how I kind of resonate with my sphere, just by being authentically myself and posting not necessarily on a business page, but my social page as well. Or not, yeah, social page. Yeah.
I had a question for Kaylee. You're talking about these guides that you're making, restaurant guides, summer guides, these trip guides, all these things. I think it's really interesting that you're making the guides because versus just the posts, because we see all the event posts all the time, right? So many agents have gotten to the point they're doing that. I like the step that you're going farther with making it an actual guide. Are you putting that on Google business pages?
I am not. I probably should be, but why I do the guide link is because I'm capturing emails, contact information when they sign up for the guide. So I make the guide usually in Canva, and then I put it as a public viewing link, and then I have basically something set up through Flowdesk where I can get their email when they sign up for the guide. So that's why I do it that way, but that's a good idea adding it
so
to.
you could do it on Google business pages and you make it a product and it's the same lead capture way.
Okay.
So if you're
Oh,
already
yeah.
repurposing it, I would totally put that on Google business pages, because if you already have that content and people want it, and plus Chat, Claude, all those other systems are going to be feeding off of that. And I would do 5-star guide for, Washington this summer, like 5-star restaurant guide, like making it like those accolades, because that's going to help capture those people.
Words
I'll touch
matter.
on that a little bit. So I'm a military spouse, and we're in a very, very heavy military community in Northwest Florida, and we're surrounded by several different military bases. And a PCS guide, I've actually had some very good success professionally through various military family Facebook groups, and just putting my information out there and really just going into those groups and adding value. So people are constantly asking for recommendations about the area, who's the best pediatrician, the best hairstylist, the best Pilates studio or gym or whatever, preschools, and just putting information out there, but also then, connecting with people. And I do have a PCS, it's a permanent change of, or military move, a PCS guide for families that, I can get their email address and get their information and send that to them. So kind of touching on what Kaylee's doing is, seasonally, because we definitely have a heavy PCS cycle during the summertime. Big life change.
Yeah, you guys are all doing very basic things, but you're doing them all at a high level. So it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. So when you look at your social media, how many of you are batching content 3 days a week or 1 day a month and putting it out there? And how are you doing that?
One thing I can hop on with that, I think video, obviously, as we said, for years and years, is very, very prevalent. If you're not doing some form of video, we're behind a little bit. So to kind of jump on that, I think one of the biggest objections I gave myself, and I've heard from other fellow agents, is, I don't have the time to do it every week. So what I would do, like for all of my listings, with my videographer on site, I shoot 3 videos for that listing, which again, we call that media day umbrella. So that's your photos, your videos, everything. But from those 3 videos, depending on how my approach is for the strategy of that listing, normally one falls in a coming soon to kind of create that excitement. And so that's one piece that normally falls within 1 week for a video of my social media. Following week is normally that launch day. So it's that's the most inclusive video of that property. And then I also do one, which this was good that it was happening this way, but my 3rd video of the home was falling off and not hitting my page because it would sell, which is great. But again, that's content that is no longer quite relevant to my page. So I've now changed my approach. That 3rd video is area based. So Bennington is a subdivision, is an area of Omaha in our metro area that I had a listing at. So we did 2, a coming soon and a launch day video. And then we did one about Bennington. So why do people love living in Bennington? Because that is then evergreen information.
Yes.
So making it to where it can last longer with your page, I think is really helpful. And again, invest in either, if you're in a position to invest in that professional videographer for a couple of evergreen content videos, I think it's really worth it. I think you'll see the return on your page with followers, with interactions. But if not, again, fellow agents, we all can get together and shoot a video with another agent. So I highly recommend a little more evergreen content, but be wise with the listings that you're selling, the areas that you're selling. Try and promote them on your page.
Love it. Asia, you just did a really fun video and it was on Instagram. And how are you coming up with your content? And how is that playing into winning the listing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm really fortunate. My videographer and photographer, someone I met, I want to say maybe a couple years ago, and young guy kind of starting out trying to build his business, and he did a smart thing, leaving candles on all the agents' desks in our office and offering us a free shoot. And so started off as my photographer, and then as I started to create more video content, he's been an incredible thought partner, and we come up with a lot of the ideas together, which is really fun. ChatGPT certainly can help with ideas and brainstorming as well. But I've been finding, being creative in the hooks and really being myself helps bring viewership, definitely. I don't have, an insane following. I think I have like I want to say like 1,200 people who follow me on my real estate Instagram. And yet, in doing local content and property tours, I'm starting to hear from people who come and see me in an open house, hey, I recognize you, which blows my mind. I'm like, how could you be one of those? But you know, your followers aren't everything. Your viewers are reaching, and especially because people who are out there shopping are, you know, getting local content that's targeted to them. So property tours have been a really, really wonderful source of interaction for me online. And I have gotten requests from people like saying, hey, can I, you know, I want to get out there and tour with you, or I'd like to meet with you. And it's started to actually turn into clients, you know, coming from social media as a source. So you know, I feel like we've covered this, but like not being discouraged about not being, you know, influencer status in terms of your followers or viewership. It's all good energy around your business, and very worth investing time into, especially as demographic shift and, you know, more millennials are home buyers, and we spend a lot of time online. That's where we're at. So that's where the future home buyers and home sellers are.
You all do video that are on this call. I know you do.
I just got to say, everyone has to go check out TJ's new video of chasing the $100 bill. I just thought that it was pretty good. It was a great hook. It held my attention for a little while, and that takes a lot. So,
Well, TJ, how did you come up with that content?
How did I come up with that?
Yeah.
I saw it from a different video. It was probably an agent out in North Dakota or New York or New Jersey or something. And then the property that I had a driveway, so I just kind of made it fit with the property. Um,
Yeah, I mean, as real estate agents, we all stalk each other. I mean, yeah, I mean, correct, guys?
Yeah.
I've
Austin,
probably did a couple times.
Austin,
I
I
have
sit
a-
here listening to you guys talk about video and social media. And, you know, we've started with the network. We've got 1,000 Watt who's doing this DHH Accelerate.
Amazing.
And I don't know if any of you guys have watched Mark Davidson and I did our first podcast, just kind of rolling this out where we get topics specific here in our next podcast. Have any of you guys watched what 1,000 Watts put out there on that surveys or looked at any of their marketing material and changed? Austin, I know you saw Mark for the first time at Explosion in Laguna Beach after we had our REthink Council meeting. But have any of you guys looked at his things, and are you doing social media differently than you were before, or your marketing pieces? And as I'm sitting here listening to all of you guys talk about invites, I just made a note to myself that I handed to my assistant. I'm going to ask Mark Davidson before my next podcast with him is, does he have any marketing pieces to send out unique, creative invites from a marketing perspective that look different than what we typically send out?
Love that.
I think my biggest question is, you know, agents during the summer, we get distracted just if not more than anybody else. And so when you're out there doing all the activities and things like that, how are you making sure that you're staying on track with your goals and what you're doing every single day versus just waking up and going, oh my gosh, it's an amazing beach day? Are y'all doing anything intentional during the summer to make sure you're staying in flow other than just like the normal activities during summer?
One initiative I'm never done before, also gonna give it a shot and see what kind of feedback I get. Wanting to work more into that luxury price point. I'm gonna again send out my 9x11 envelopes that I send out. They're the black branded Grace envelopes, but I am going to offer basically free exterior twilight photos while everything is in full bloom, while everything looks amazing. The home is showcased in its best light, and those are again no cost to that homeowner. It's something that would then become, you know, a branded piece that we would keep on file should that time make sense. You know, when it's not quite as nice outside in Omaha, Nebraska, and it's -10, we still have the home showcase at its best light. So that is something that's a new initiative for me this summer that really only fits within this time of year, at least for our area, to kind of see if we can get some triggers from there for different home listing opportunities.
So one thing on Austin's question was about, you know, how are we staying in flow, or how do we avoid getting distracted? There are changes in schedules if you have kids, or just, you know, because for whatever reason, or maybe traveling. So two things, like I just, and not everybody's like this, but I've just developed I kind of just have a morning routine. I always try to get some movement in the morning, whether I go to the gym or go for a walk. And this happens even when I'm traveling. So me just having a natural flow of how I kind of start my day and trying to stay on track with how I end my day, that kind of helps me, no matter where I'm at, it helps me just to really show up and show up for myself, but also feel my best. And just on the other side of that is like, even at my local gym, I'm a regular there and I'm in flow regularly and saying hi to a lot of the same people. And so even though there might be times over this summer, kind of coming back to our theme, is that I might be away for a week or two traveling, but they know that like as soon as I get back to the gym, they're gonna be like, "Where were you?" And be like, "Oh, I've been traveling, but I'm right back into it." So they know that I'm this steady person that's going to have that consistent presence because I have that routine established that's sustainable for my life. Another thing on the topic of travel and content and social media. Social media is a very, very strong pillar for me for lead generation and prospecting. And so I'm leaning more heavily into that with professional videography, which is really exciting. It's something that is not going to be exclusively all professional videography. I do a lot of different types of content, but it's just another layer of that. I'm very excited about that. But also on the topic of travel, and I think some evergreen, because we want to avoid just constantly, this was on the Accelerate Facebook group, is we want to avoid constantly just doing promotion, self-promotion or property promotion, but maybe some evergreen footage about trends in an area. Or I did a post recently about what does a $500,000 house look like in several different towns in our local area that I sell in. Or if we're traveling, what is and another example spin off of that could be, what does a $500,000 house look like here versus here? So just kind of brain dumping there a little bit, but I think that there are a lot of ways that we can leverage this time of year to help our clients and future clients.
I think that's great because you never know who's going to buy a vacation home. I think that's evergreen content is amazing.
Mm-hmm. I have another question, and this might be for a lot of people who like, how do you actually take a vacation and set those boundaries through a vacation? I know we're talking about revving business up, but sometimes we need a brain break and go on vacation. So how do y'all handle that, or do y'all just power through and work it all the time?
I can't wait to hear all your tips.
Yeah, I was going to say, does anyone really do that, Casey? I mean, we know Vince does it. He'll be on a yacht and he'll be like, "Hey, I'm like in the Gulf of Mexico."
I'm
on vacation today.
I was just going to say, is now a bad time to say I'm at an Airbnb near Waco, Texas on vacation?
Well, I'll tell you what I do is I love taking more vacations than less. So that's the way to get away. But I hammer myself out in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then, by 11, 12, 1, depending on the day, I'm going to shut it off. And my staff and most people knows, like, if you want to get a hold of me in the morning. And so just setting boundaries, I think, and say part of the state, because I want to take more vacations, is going to be to get caught up in work so I don't get too far behind. And then the rest of it just going to be to recharge and go.
I found it really interesting. We have an office and, I have about 50 agents here, and we like to say we like to work hard, but we like to vacay hard too. But I have a lot of agents who actually do go on vacation and they don't work. So again, I think having a partner that you can trust, that you help with your business, and that you connect with your clients, you let them know, set those expectations. But there is a way to go on vacation, especially we're leaning on each other. We should be able to lean on each other in your offices, where we all have that same level of professionalism. We should anyways. But there's definitely ways to do it, and going on vacation, I think, is really important, that we can't just burn out.
Well, I'd like to say too, I mean, why do we get into this? It's a lifestyle business. It's so that you have the freedom to go on vacation, right? If you're doing well, you treat yourself a little bit, go on vacation, should take those times. I'm going to Canada on Sunday for 4 days with my family to go visit my grandma who's turning 90. So taking moments to, go see family when it matters is important to us. And so whether you're hanging on a beach or doing something else, you can always answer your phone too. You can have the boundaries like Vince over here, or you can just answer your phone a little bit here and there and make sure it stays on track.
I agree, Colton. I think just that we just booked travel. My husband just got home from a deployment, and we just decided, all right, we really need to go do some travel. We have some celebrations that we've missed, while our family has been apart, and so we're going to go celebrate. But I think just even that giving myself permission, like that, being able to like just geographically, physically leave the area, that is going to be more relaxing. Yes, I'm going to be doing a little bit of work probably here and there. But I do have people here back home that I can lean on for support. But just the simple act of giving myself permission to leave was a big personal win recently.
Yeah, that's amazing. I keep saying that if you compare markets and look back, we're very much in a skills-based market. And what all of you are doing right now is you're sharpening your skills and you're being very purposeful on what you're doing. You're being intentional. And being intentional builds solid relationships that will never be broken. So in the last few minutes here, I want everyone to shout out, what is your one thing that you're doing to secure your pipeline that you have not mentioned that you have thought of? And how are you putting that into play in the next 30 days?
I've got mine. All right. Well, it's a little over 30 days, but I have my calendar marked for mid-July. I'm going to be working on creating my school calendar magnet that I'm going to be sending to I call them like my VIPs, but people on my database that I'm close to, or just arm's length, but they're kind of in my sphere, so to speak. But it's just going to have some branding. It's a school calendar magnet with a calendar for the upcoming school year and the different holidays and school days off. I did that last year. It was very successful, and excited to do that again. So I'm going to start working on it mid-July and make sure it's all sent out right before the school year starts.
Awesome.
Nobody's throwing that away. They're all keeping that.
I'll hop in. I know I've been talking about AI a lot on this call, but I think, it is such a way to scale your business 100-fold. But at the same time, AI cannot do a personal relationship the way we can, nor does it have the really nuanced knowledge about our markets, and what buyers and sellers in our markets need to know to be successful. So I think in order to scale your business and be serving clients, many buyers at a time, and as listings maybe sit on the market longer in certain markets, having a lot of overhead with listings, it's really important to be intentional with how you're using AI in your business to be the voice of authority for your clients. And I think, especially talking about, people of a new generation, buying and selling and being our prospects, they're using AI. And I think it's really important for us to call it out with them and say, hey, don't go ahead and upload all the disclosures to a property to ChatGPT and then use that as your advisor. Use me as your advisor and use ChatGPT or Claude as your tool to disseminate your knowledge, your notes, and get ahead of people who may be trying to do it the inverse way. And that is how clients will continue to refer you every time, because that's how you help your clients be successful.
Asia, that is a gold nugget that everyone needs to set in the beginning of every conversation and every consultation. That is absolutely 100% correct. Who else is doing something here to secure it in the next 30 days? What are we putting into action?
I'm I'm looking to buy a new personal home, so I got a lot of motivation to put some stuff into action and make sure I make that happen and close on a house here in the next 60 days. But nothing tells you, or nothing gets you more motivated than putting yourself in debt. So got to really get yourself out of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, go for it.
I love that, Colton. Just really honing into what's your why, what do you want to do? What do you want to have? What do you want to be with your life? I love that so much. That's really what I'm going to be focusing on. Just with all my people, I'm kind of calling this summer the Great Reconnection. We think we have so much time to check in with people and all that, and we really just need a time block and make sure that we're staying on top of these people. Just don't wait. You think you have all this time to follow up with people, and then plans change, situations arise. So just make sure that you're being as productive with your time as you can and as efficient as possible.
Purposeful.
Purposeful, exactly.
Alexandria.
Yeah, so I will say I haven't started, but I saw last week I was reading something about getting like back on track and making sure that your pipeline stays full. And so making 5 calls a day. And that's actually not text, but actually picking up the phone to 5 people, whether it be someone new or someone that you've sold before. And so starting to Monday, I won't say tomorrow, tomorrow's Friday, but I'm going to make 5 calls a day, whether, and that's going to be like people that I've sold before or people that I just want to catch up with before. Like TJ said, life is short, and make the call and stay on top of mind with people, but just have those conversations. So that's something that I want to make sure that my pipeline stays full. And I think having those conversations and those phone calls, personal calls, will go a long way.
I agree.
Along with keeping your pipeline full, I will definitely say staying consistent with what I've already been doing. So posting consistently on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, helps keep those guides being pumped out and the leads coming in. And that's something I'm really going to focus in on, especially during the summer months.
One thing I'll say, I mean, I know we talked about like summer gets crazy, everything. One thing that like I've heard really big with our team is, people have short attention spans nowadays. So it is our job to make sure we're staying top of mind. It's not their job to remember us as their real estate agent. We have to stay in front of them consistently. So making sure that, like I do a monthly newsletter that gets mailed out every single month. Make sure that when the summer gets crazy, those don't fall behind. Or if you're doing birthday cards to your clients or whatever it is, make sure kind of on that topic of consistency, you're staying in the fold of that, because it's funny, like people will realize like, oh my goodness, like, Alexandria, like everything got crazy. Like a lot of people forgot these, but she remembered these things or whatnot. So make sure you're staying in front of your people, because again, it's not their job to remember you. It's our job to make sure we're there always as a resource in front of them. So
I have a couple of network things. If you haven't checked out, if you're joining us and you haven't checked out the Chelsea Pites social media courses that we're offering through the network, those are in Learn Center. You can access that through Resource Center. For the people who haven't started video, who are looking for ways to increase their engagement levels, she's got a great 3 sessions that we've got there for you. One of the things she talks about, and since everyone's talked about vacations and travel and things like that, is if you're not sharing your personal, you're really not of any interest. From a social media perspective, you've got to open the door a little bit. That doesn't mean you have to tell them everything. But that travel piece, I think, is an easy way to do that, right? You don't have to tell them when you're going or where you're going until after the fact, but it can be some great content and maybe make some great opportunities for connections with realtors or buyers or sellers in different areas of the country. So just something to think about as you're figuring out how to figure out filling your pipeline and building your business as we move forward. Thanks, Tammy, for shouting out Chelsea's is amazing because she's done some great things for us. Any other last minute moments?
I would tell everyone to watch Vince's podcast with 1,000 watts. It is true nuggets of knowledge. They're not long, they're not lengthy, and you actually get value from them. Someone threw in the chat from Explosion at Laguna.
Yeah.
Go away from just listed. Like
Yes.
go to anything. There is actual factual value in there.
Yes.
Like I say to everyone, what's
the next one is next week.
Yeah.
So jump on that, and you can see the recording also by hitting the Resource Center and looking at the Accelerate tile that's there. And thanks to all of you for sharing all of the wisdom and trials and tribulations that have helped you build the careers that you're still building with great success. We are absolutely thrilled to have you in the network, and even more thrilled that you're willing to do things like this so that all of our network agents can hear and grow their businesses. If you want to join us next time, mark your calendars now for REthink Live, August 6th. We'll be back here doing this one more time. In the meantime, have a wonderful summer. And if you want to reach out to any of these folks on social media, they'll be happy to respond to you and help you in any way that you can, as will your managers, franchise owners, and the Global Network Training Department through the Resource Center. Make it a great day, everyone.
Bye.